In front of 50 engineers and a dozen investors, the CEO pointed at the broken helicopter and laughed. "Fix it. Right now. I'll kiss you in front of everyone." The hangar erupted in laughter. The man she addressed wasn't an engineer. He was the janitor. Oil-stained shirt, mop still in hand, black skin catching the harsh fluorescent light. No one knew that in 5 minutes the entire room would fall silent, and arrogance would make room for shame. Part 1. The Bet. The test hangar at Phoenix Aeronautics stretched 3 stories high. Morning sun cut through industrial windows, casting geometric shadows across the concrete floor. In the center sat the Phoenix Medivac 7, their prototype medical helicopter, sleek white body, red cross on the tail, $60 million in development. And it wouldn't start. Victoria Hale stood beside it, arms crossed, ice in her veins. 38 years old, CEO for 6 years, black suit sharp as a scalpel. Hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. She'd built Phoenix Aeronautics from a regional repair shop into a contender for government medical contracts. She didn't do failure, especially not today, especially not with Cascade Healthcare Systems watching. The Cascade delegation sat in the observation area. 12 representatives, clipboards, tablets, expressions of professional skepticism. They controlled 84 hospitals across 7 states. Their contract was worth $400 million over 10 years, and her helicopter was dead on the floor. "System diagnostics show nothing," said Thomas Chen, her head engineer. 45, MIT graduate. 20 years in aerospace. Sweat darkened his collar. "The computer says everything's operational." "But it won't engage." Victoria's jaw tightened. "Run it again." Thomas exchanged glances with his team. They'd run it 6 times. Same result. Green lights across the board. Dead engine. One of the Cascade representatives checked his watch. Visible. Victoria felt the moment slipping, felt the contract dissolving, felt her father's company, the one she'd sworn to expand, crumbling under her leadership. That's when she saw him. Marcus Reed stood near the hangar's edge, navy blue janitor's uniform, bucket beside him. He was watching the helicopter, not watching her, not watching the engineers, just the machine. His eyes moved over it with focus, like he was reading something written there. Victoria felt something hot and ugly rise in her chest. Frustration needed a target, and there he stood. She walked toward him. Her heels clicked on concrete. The sound made people turn. "You." Her voice carried across the hangar. "You think you see something?" Marcus looked at her. 36 years old, 6'1", broad shoulders that had once carried 80 pounds of gear through Kandahar. Now they carried a mop. "No, ma'am." His voice was quiet. "Careful. You were staring at my helicopter." Victoria stopped 3 feet from him, close enough to make it uncomfortable. "You think you know something my engineers don't?" A few engineers smiled. One of them chuckled. Marcus shifted the mop to his other hand. "Just doing my job, ma'am. Your job." Victoria's smile was sharp. "Then let me offer you a promotion. Fix that helicopter, right now, in front of everyone." She paused. "And I'll kiss you. Right here, in front of all these people." The hangar went still for a heartbeat. Then laughter erupted. Engineers, investors, even some of the Cascade delegation smiled. Victoria let it wash over her, let it feed her. This was control. This was leadership. Taking a moment of weakness and turning it into performance. Someone pulled out a phone. "Started recording," Victoria added. "Of course, if you can't fix it, you're fired." Immediately, the laughter got louder. Victoria Hale learned to fly before she learned to drive. Her father, Robert Hale, founded Phoenix Aeronautics in 1982. Started as a repair operation for local flight schools. Built it into a regional maintenance hub. By the time Victoria was born, the company employed 47 people. Her childhood smelled like aviation fuel and metal polish. She did homework in the break room, learned to read electrical diagrams before she read chapter books. Her father taught her that aircraft didn't lie. Numbers didn't betray you. Systems were logical. People did. When Victoria was 17, her mother died. Not in a crash. Something more mundane. A coronary blockage at 42. Collapsed in the grocery store. Gone before the ambulance arrived. Victoria remembered her father's face at the funeral. Blank. Shut down like a system in standby mode. He never cried, never faltered, just worked. She learned from that. Emotion was a liability. Attachment made you weak. Focus made you strong. She graduated MIT at 22, top of her engineering class. Returned to Phoenix and took over operations at 28 when her father had his first stroke. By 32, she was CEO. By 35, she'd tripled revenue. She did it by cutting fat, by demanding precision, by measuring everything. Employee satisfaction surveys? Irrelevant. Retention rates? Acceptable losses if the alternative was inefficiency. The Medevac 7 was her vision. Medical helicopters with advanced stabilization systems, faster response times, better patient outcomes, real impact. The Cascade contract would validate everything, would prove her father's company had become hers, would demonstrate that her way worked. She wasn't going to lose it to a janitor making eyes at her helicopter. Victoria had 3 friends, all from business school. They met quarterly for dinner at an expensive steakhouse, talked about markets and mergers, never about feelings or families. She had 512 employees. She knew the names of maybe 30. She had relationships, brief, transactional. Men who understood that work came first, who didn't ask for more than she offered, who left when she stopped calling. She told herself this was freedom, this was power, this was success. She never asked herself why her penthouse felt empty, why Sunday mornings stretched too long, why sometimes, watching families in the airport, she felt something cold settle in her chest. She didn't have time for those questions. Marcus Reed met Sarah Walsh at a VA support group in 2014. He'd just left the Army after 8 years. Helicopter crew chief. 2 tours in Afghanistan. Honorable discharge. No injuries visible on the outside. Sarah had enlisted young. Medic. Saw things that rewired her brain. Came home to a country that thanked her for her service and then looked away. They bonded over shared nightmares and bitter coffee. Got married 6 months later at a courthouse. Had Lily 9 months after that. For 3 years, they built something good. Marcus got work at a civilian maintenance facility. Sarah took online classes for nursing. Lily grew from infant to toddler. Bright eyes, constant questions. A laugh that made the apartment feel bigger. Then Sarah's depression came back. Not the manageable kind, the drowning kind. Marcus tried everything. Therapy, medication adjustments, taking over all household duties, cutting his hours to be home more. Nothing worked. Sarah died on a Tuesday in March. Lily was 4. The details didn't matter. The result did. Marcus became a single father overnight. No family nearby. Sarah's parents had passed. His own mother lived in Georgia, too sick to help. He was it. He discovered that the civilian maintenance job came with unpredictable hours. Emergency repairs didn't respect custody schedules. Overtime was mandatory. Missing shifts meant termination. Lily needed stability, needed a parent who showed up, needed someone who wasn't perpetually exhausted and resentful. So Marcus made a choice. He took the janitor position at Phoenix Aeronautics. Fixed hours, 7 to 3:30. No overtime requirements. Benefits. Proximity to Lily's school. The pay was half what he'd made as a crew chief. The work was mindless. His education and experience became invisible. But he picked Lily up from school every day. He made her dinner. He helped with homework. He read to her at night. He showed up. Now Lily was 7. Smart as lightning. Obsessed with robotics and engineering. Her room was full of projects. Half-built circuits. Drawings of impossible machines. She talked about going to MIT someday. Marcus had enrolled her in an after-school robotics program. She'd qualified for the regional competition. It was in 2 months. She practiced every night. Her workspace was the kitchen table. Inadequate. She needed better lighting, a proper workspace, tools that didn't come from the dollar store. Marcus had been saving for a proper setup, a decent desk, an adjustable lamp, better supplies. At his current rate, he'd have enough by Christmas. Lily never complained, never asked for more than he could give. She was grateful for everything. That gratitude broke his heart more than complaints would have. At Phoenix Aeronautics, no one knew his background. He was just the janitor, the guy who emptied trash cans and mopped floors. He preferred it that way. No questions, no pity, no expectations. Just him and his daughter. Making it work. Marcus had noticed the problem 5 weeks earlier. He'd been cleaning the test hangar after hours. The engineers had left for the day. The Medevac 7 sat alone under maintenance lights. He'd heard it first. A faint hiss, barely audible over the building's HVAC system. The kind of sound most people would miss. But Marcus had spent 8 years listening to helicopters, learned to identify problems by sound before sensors caught them. A crew chief who couldn't hear trouble didn't last long. He'd followed the sound to the pressure system, put his hand near the housing, felt the slight vibration. Wrong rhythm, wrong frequency. He'd mentioned it the next morning. Found Thomas Chen reviewing test results. "Excuse me, sir. The helicopter in the test hangar. There might be an issue with the pressure system." Thomas had looked up, confused at first. Then recognition. Oh, the janitor. The diagnostics would catch that. Everything's fine, not rude, just dismissive. The tone you use when a child tells you the sky is falling. Marcus had tried once more. "I heard something, a hiss near the housing. Maybe worth checking? We have sensors for that." Thomas had already returned to his screen. But thanks, Marcus had let it go. Wasn't his place. He cleaned floors. They built helicopters. 2 weeks later, he'd tried again. Different engineer. Younger woman named Rebecca Park. Fresh from graduate school. Smart, confident. "Ma'am, I think there's something off with the pressure system on the prototype." Rebecca had smiled. Patient. "Our systems are triple-checked, computer-verified, but I appreciate your concern. What if I'm right?" The smile had cooled. Then, our $1 million diagnostic system would tell us, "Please focus on your assigned duties." After that, Marcus stopped mentioning it. The message was clear. Stay in your lane. Mop floors. Empty trash. Don't presume to understand things above your pay grade. He had Lily to think about. Couldn't afford to make trouble. Couldn't risk the stable hours and the proximity to her school. His ego wasn't worth her stability, so he watched. Kept the observation to himself. Hoped maybe he was wrong. Hoped the engineers knew something he didn't. But the hiss never stopped. The demonstration was scheduled for 10 in the morning. Cascade Healthcare's team arrived at 9:30. 12 people. Led by Director of Operations Gerald Moss, 63 years old, former hospital administrator. Reputation for thorough due diligence. Victoria greeted them personally. Firm handshakes, confident eye contact. She'd rehearsed this presentation for weeks. Every word, every gesture, every anticipated question. The Medevac 7 represented a revolution in emergency medical transport. Advanced stabilization reduced patient movement by 47%. Faster rotor engagement cut response time by 12 minutes average. Improved fuel efficiency extended range by 80 miles. The numbers were perfect. The engineering was sound. The business case was ironclad. Everything was ready. Thomas Chen ran the pre-flight sequence. Standard protocol, systems check, fuel levels, hydraulics, electrical, computer diagnostics. All green. Victoria began her presentation. Spoke about patient outcomes, about cost efficiency, about Phoenix Aeronautics' commitment to excellence. The Cascade team listened, took notes, nodded at appropriate moments. Then came the demonstration. Thomas climbed into the pilot seat, ran through startup sequence, flipped switches, entered commands. The computer acknowledged each input. He engaged the ignition. Nothing. The rotors didn't turn. The engine didn't catch. No whine of turbines. No vibration of power transferring through the frame. Just silence. Victoria felt her stomach drop, felt the temperature in the hangar shift, felt 50 pairs of eyes turn toward her. "Run it again," she said, voice steady. Professional. Thomas did. Same result. Check the diagnostics. All systems operational. Computer shows no errors. Gerald Moss shifted in his seat, crossed his arms. The universal posture of skepticism. Victoria's engineering team gathered around the helicopter. Opened panels, checked connections, verified fuel lines. Tested electrical systems. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Then 30. The Cascade team started having quiet conversations. Checking phones. One woman stood up to leave. Victoria felt controls slipping. Felt the contract evaporating. Felt 6 years of work collapsing. That's when she saw him, Marcus, standing at the edge of the hangar. Watching, and something inside her snapped. Victoria walked toward Marcus. Each step deliberate, each heel click echoing. The engineers noticed first, stopped working, looked up. Conversations died. By the time Victoria reached Marcus, the entire hangar was watching. "You've been staring at my helicopter all morning," Victoria said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Do you know something my engineers don't?" Marcus looked at her, then at the helicopter, then back at her. "Ma'am, I should get back to work. Answer the question." Victoria's smile had sharp edges. "Do you know what's wrong with it?" Marcus said nothing. "I'll make this interesting." Victoria raised her voice, made sure everyone heard. "Fix my helicopter. Right now, in front of everyone here." She paused. "Let it build, and I'll kiss you. Right here." In front of all these people, someone laughed. Then another. Then the whole room. Victoria felt the energy shift, felt power return. This was theater. This was control. Taking a disaster and turning it into entertainment. One of the younger engineers pulled out his phone. Started recording. "Of course," Victoria continued, "if you can't fix it, you're fired. Immediately. You'll be escorted out within the hour." More laughter. Someone said, "This should be good." Victoria waited, enjoying this, enjoying the release of tension, the return of control. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. His face was unreadable. Then he set down his mop, and the hangar went silent. Marcus walked to the supply closet at the back of the hangar, disappeared inside for 30 seconds. When he emerged, he carried a worn canvas tool bag, military green, frayed edges, oil stains on the bottom. He set it down beside the helicopter. No one was laughing now. Marcus opened the access panel on the pressure system. Did it in 3 seconds. No hesitation. Knew exactly where the latches were. He pulled out a flashlight. Not the standard issue kind. A small tactical light, focused beam. He aimed it into the housing. Stood there for 10 seconds, not moving, just looking. Then he reached into his tool bag, pulled out a small mirror on an extendable arm, angled it into the housing, adjusted his position. Victoria watched. So did everyone else. The confidence in his movements was wrong. This wasn't a janitor pretending, this was someone who knew what he was doing. Marcus set down the mirror, pulled out a specialty wrench, extended length, offset head, the kind of tool you need for accessing recessed bolts. Thomas Chen stepped closer. "What are you doing?" "Pressure chamber has metal debris in it," Marcus said. "Still working, not looking up. Probably from the manufacturing process, too small for the sensors to detect, but it's causing intermittent sealing failures. That's impossible. The system was cleaned, not well enough." Marcus removed a bolt. Then another. Worked methodically. The debris gets pulled into the seal during startup. Prevents proper pressure buildup. Computer can't detect it because the problem's mechanical, not electrical. He reached into the housing. His hand disappeared up to the wrist. Felt around. Then withdrew. In his palm were 3 small metal shavings, each one smaller than a grain of rice. He held them up. Let the light catch them. No one said anything. Marcus cleaned the chamber with a specialized brush from his bag. Checked the seal. Reassembled everything. Replaced the bolts. Closed the access panel. Total time, 8 minutes. He stood, walked to the cockpit. Started up. Thomas climbed in. Hands moving on autopilot, ran the sequence. Engaged the ignition. The turbine caught. The rotors began to turn. Perfect startup, smooth, clean, the way it was supposed to sound. The hangar stayed silent for another 10 seconds. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then everyone. Victoria stood frozen. The helicopter ran. Perfect, flawless. Everything she'd promised it would be. Fixed by her janitor. In front of everyone, she'd made a bet. A cruel, public bet. And now she had to honor it. The applause died down. People watched, waiting. Victoria forced herself to move. Walked toward Marcus. Each step felt like walking toward an execution. Not because she had to kiss him. Because she'd been so completely, publicly wrong. She stopped 2 feet from him. Met his eyes. He looked at her. No anger. No triumph. Just tired. "You won," Victoria said. Quiet enough that only he could hear. "I'll honor the bet." Marcus shook his head. "I don't want your kiss." She blinked. He raised his voice, made sure everyone heard. "I don't need your kiss, ma'am. I just need one thing." Victoria felt something cold settle in her stomach. "What?" "My daughter, Lily. She's 7. She's building a robot for her school competition. Right now she's working at our kitchen table with a dollar store flashlight." His voice stayed level. Factual. "I need the lights in her workspace to actually work. I need her to have proper lighting while she builds something she cares about." He paused. "That's what I need. Not your kiss, just lights that work for my kid." The hangar went silent again. Different kind of silence this time. Victoria felt something crack in her chest. Felt her carefully constructed armor develop fault lines. He hadn't wanted money, hadn't wanted recognition, hadn't even wanted the vindication of the kiss. He wanted lights for his daughter. Marcus picked up his tool bag. "May I go back to work now?" Victoria couldn't speak, just nodded. He walked past her, picked up his mop, went back to the corner of the hangar, and resumed cleaning floors. Victoria completed the demonstration. The Cascade team was impressed. Gerald Moss asked questions about the repair, about quality control, about expertise. She answered them, professionally. The meeting ended. Cascade left with promises to be in touch. Thomas and his team returned to work. The hangar slowly emptied. Victoria went to her office, sat at her desk, stared at nothing. Then she called HR. "I need Marcus Reed's personnel file." The janitor. "Send it to me immediately." It arrived 10 minutes later. She read through it. Employment application, references, background check, previous employment, U.S. Army, 8 years, crew chief, honorable discharge, education, 2 years technical training. Emergency contact. Lily Reed. Daughter, age 7. Reason for position change. Seeking stable hours for family responsibilities. Victoria sat back, felt something twist in her gut. He'd been a military helicopter specialist. Probably forgot more about rotorcraft than most of her engineers knew. He'd taken a janitor position. For his daughter, for stability, for time. And she'd mocked him. Publicly. Cruelly. Victoria made 3 calls that afternoon. First, to facilities management. I need Marcus Reed's home address. For a delivery. Second, to a commercial supply company. I need a complete STEM workspace setup. Adjustable desk. Professional lighting. Quality tools. Deliver tonight. Cost is irrelevant. Third, to her assistant. Set up a scholarship fund. Full robotics program sponsorship. Target students in underserved areas. Initial funding. $500,000. No press release. No publicity. Just do it. She worked late that night. Went over Marcus's personnel file again. Read between the lines. Single father. Military service. Career sacrifice. Everything for his daughter. She thought about her own father. About his blank face at her mother's funeral. About how he'd taught her that emotion was weakness. That attachment made you vulnerable. She thought about her empty penthouse. Her 3 business school friends. Her brief, transactional relationships. She thought about Marcus Reed. Mopping floors. Raising his daughter. Choosing her over his career. And wondered who was actually stronger. 3 months later, Lily Reed won the regional robotics competition. Marcus was there. Front row. Watched his daughter present her project. A robotic arm designed to assist people with limited mobility. Smart, elegant, built with proper tools at a proper workspace. When her name was announced as the winner, Lily looked at him first. Not at the judges, not at the audience. At him. He smiled. Felt his eyes burn. Blinked it back. After the ceremony, someone approached him. Woman in a business suit. Mr. Reed? I'm Jennifer Watts. I run the Phoenix Aeronautics STEM Scholarship Program. Lily's been selected as one of our recipients. Marcus looked confused. I didn't apply for anything. You didn't have to. The program identifies promising students automatically. It covers robotics classes, competition fees, materials, everything. Through high school and into college. She handed him a folder. Details are here. No strings attached. Just support for kids with talent and drive. Marcus opened it. Saw the paperwork. Saw the Phoenix Aeronautics logo. Made the connection. Who authorized this? Jennifer smiled. Someone who believes in second chances. And first ones. At Phoenix Aeronautics, things changed slowly. Victoria started walking the floor more. Not inspecting. Just present, learning names, asking questions, listening to answers. She implemented a suggestion program. Anyone could submit ideas. Janitors, assembly workers, anyone. The first month, she got 2 submissions. The second month, 15. By the 6th month, they were getting dozens. She passed Marcus in the hallways sometimes. He still mopped floors. Still emptied trash. Still kept his head down. But now, when she saw him, she remembered. Remembered his hands working on that helicopter. Remembered his quiet dignity. Remembered what he'd asked for. One day, 6 months after the demonstration, she found him in the hangar. Late afternoon. Most people had gone home. He was looking at the Medivac 7 again. Same focused expression. Victoria approached. He noticed her. Started to move away. Wait, she said. He stopped. I wanted to apologize. For what I did. What I said, it was cruel and wrong. Marcus nodded. Okay. How's Lily? A small smile. The first one she'd seen from him. Good. Really good. She's building a new project. Something about assistive technology. She sounds brilliant. She is, pride in his voice. Unguarded. She wants to help people. Says that's what engineering should do. Victoria felt something shift in her chest. They stood in silence for a moment. The workspace setup, Marcus said. The scholarship? That was you? Victoria didn't answer directly. Your daughter deserves every opportunity. So do a lot of other kids. Thank you. You taught me something, Victoria said. About what matters. About what strength actually looks like. Marcus looked at her. Really looked. Saw something different than the woman who'd mocked him 6 months ago. People can change, he said. I'm trying to. Another silence. More comfortable this time. My shift ends at 3:30, Marcus said. I pick up Lily from school. Sometimes we get ice cream after. If you ever wanted to meet her, see what the scholarship is supporting. It wasn't an offer. It was an opening. Victoria felt something warm in her chest. Unfamiliar. Maybe hope. I'd like that. 2 years later, Victoria Hale sat in the audience at the State Robotics Championship. Lily Reed, now 9, presented her project. An assistive device for children with cerebral palsy. Sophisticated, elegant, born from a desire to help. Marcus sat 2 seats away, watching his daughter with the same focused attention he'd once given to helicopters. Victoria had learned his story over months of careful friendship, coffee after his shifts, conversations about engineering and parenting, slow trust built on consistent respect. She'd learned about Sarah, about the choices Marcus had made, about the life he'd built from grief and determination. She'd shared her own story, about her father, about her mother, about building walls and calling them strength. They'd become friends, real friends, the kind who showed up, who listened. Maybe something more was developing. Maybe not. Neither rushed it. Lily won 2nd place. Came off stage beaming. Hugged her father first, then, shyly, hugged Victoria. Thank you for coming, Lily said. It means a lot. Victoria felt her eyes burn. Blinked it back. Wouldn't miss it. They went for ice cream, the 3 of them. Lily talked about her next project. Marcus asked questions. Victoria listened. At Phoenix Aeronautics, the culture had shifted. Not dramatically, not overnight, but steadily. Retention improved. Innovation increased. People felt heard. The Cascade contract had gone through. 60 helicopters over 7 years. $400 million. But Victoria measured success differently now. In employee satisfaction scores, in scholarship recipients, in changed lives. Marcus still worked as a janitor, still had his stable hours, still picked up Lily from school. But now he consulted on maintenance protocols, trained new engineers, shared his expertise. He did it on his terms, on his schedule, with his priorities intact. One evening, as they walked to their cars after another robotics meeting, Lily ran ahead. Victoria and Marcus walked in comfortable silence. I'm grateful, Victoria said, for that day in the hangar, for what you taught me. Marcus smiled. You taught yourself. I just fixed a helicopter. You did more than that. He looked at her. Steady, warm. Maybe we both learned something. Lily called back. Dad, Victoria, come on. They followed. Together. The evening was warm. The sky was clear. Somewhere, a helicopter flew overhead. Victoria looked up, watched it pass. Remembered the day everything changed. The day a janitor taught a CEO what strength really meant. The day she learned that the most important repairs aren't always mechanical. Sometimes they're human. And sometimes, if you're lucky, someone shows you how to fix yourself. One conversation. One choice. One moment of humility at a time.